Hey Al, today we're going to talk about what happens when purpose and meaning get all tied up with body image. So, when I was going back and forth looking at root causes and patterns and tendencies in order to come up with the 4 body image avatars that I have talked about, I went back and forth about the idea of including a 5th one. And the 5th one was going to be, I was going to call it the wanderer, and it was going to be somebody whose core unmet emotional needs that they were trying to get met through using their body and appearance was a feeling of purpose and meaning. And the reason I went back and forth about this is because I was able to see that all of the other 4 avatars also, at a certain point, would regularly express that they were attempting to use their bodies in sort of service of giving themselves a feeling of existential purpose or spiritual purpose or meaning, and that was a need that was sort of trying to be met by all of the avatars. So it doesn't have a specific pathway, and I decided in the end not to include it in the 4 avatars because it really is it's a universal experience that I would say the vast majority of my clients who are doing body neutrality and body healing, body image healing work, all have to deal with at one point or another. So I wanted to talk about some of the ways that purpose and meaning can manifest. And granted, it will often look a little different in each of the 4 body image avatars. For example, the self-objectifier might really resonate with the feeling that her sort of existential purpose, the answer to the question of why am I here, is to be good to look at, like to be attractive, to be desirable, to turn men on, to make people happy. That kind of thing might be really wrapped up in her body image issues, as well as her just existential beliefs and answers to the question of, like, what am I doing here? What is all this for? And likewise, the outsider might feel like the answer to the question, why am I here? What am I for? What is the meaning of life? All these big questions. A lot of it will feel like, okay, it's about belonging and connection, and so I have to conform myself in order to get access to that. And they might feel like they existentially don't belong because they're not the right kind of person to fit into social status and social norms. So that feeling of like, I'm just the wrong kind of person, I shouldn't even be here being like society or earth or your community or your family, it's a deep existential pain. So based on the avatar that you most resonate with, this might look a couple of different ways. But I wanted to talk about what happens when you use your body and your appearance as a way of sort of getting your needs for a feeling of purpose and meaning met. And one of those ways is very simply that something hurts deeply when we don't have an answer to the question of why am I here? What is the meaning of my life? When you don't have answers to that, and we can't, there is a deep pain that often accompanies that can be numbed and distracted from and protected from by obsessing over something else. So this can be anything else, and also the kind of person who tends to be most vulnerable to this might also be vulnerable to things like addiction and eating disorders and other behaviors that tend towards like obsessive paths. But in some ways, body image issues are just a convenient way to give yourself a distraction from or a way of numbing or dissociating from feelings of existential pain. And so if you don't know why you're here, if you don't have an answer to the question of what makes your life meaningful, there may be very simply body image issues stepping in just to distract you and protect you from the fact that hurts so damn bad. And that is one of the many ways in which this can kind of manifest and really reinforce body image issues. And for that person, at a certain point in their body neutrality healing work, they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to look at, feel, process, and deal with the fact that they have existential pain, that they don't feel like that their life has meaning, or that they don't know what that meaning is yet, or that they don't feel like they have a purpose, spiritually or existentially speaking, and that they need that. They need something to answer that question, and they have to go get an answer to that question in order to heal in a way that means their body image won't be so important. For some people, it's a little more direct, and their body image stuff, their body control habits and behaviors, for example, will actually be a stand-in and take over the feeling of busyness, will take over and give them a sense of meaning and purpose. So for example, if maybe you get into dieting and then you get like really into dieting, and now it's like really taking over your life. Everything you do is sort of geared around like what you're going to eat and how you're going to exercise and how much you weigh and what you're wearing, and all of this stuff is kind of taking up a lot of mental real estate. That can give you a feeling of purpose. Every day you wake up, you weigh yourself, you figure out what am I going to eat for breakfast, then you figure out what am I going to eat for lunch, and then you're like, okay, I have to get my workout in. Like, that busyness in the mind can actually take over and give you a feeling that you are following your purpose. There is purpose behind everything you do. Now, granted, it's not as satisfying and meaningful as like a sort of greater spiritual or existential purpose might want to be, but it is purpose nonetheless. And if what you're seeking is purpose, it is going to feel really good. It's also going to feel really, really hard to give up. Because if you give that up, what the hell do you do with yourself? What do you do with your life? It's overwhelming for people who have had those habits step in and offer them a sense of purpose and meaning. Like, every day I know what I'm doing because I'm following this path to lose weight and fix my body. That can feel really good. And so even if you're trying to overcome your body image issues and you know you want to step away from that, it can be really, really scary and painful. And you actually have to offer yourself something else. And again, this is going to be the pattern for everybody who's dealing with this. You have to find another thing to give yourself purpose and meaning. Which luckily, we're making it up, right? There's no answer. We can't know for sure that there is meaning to anything. It is just a random thing our human brains do is we assign meaning and we feel a certain sense of purpose based on different factors. So if we're making it up anyway, I am personally of the belief that you should make something up that empowers you and does not destroy your body image, and allows you to have the kind of life that you would feel meaningful to you. Another way this can look is people who really crave self-development and growth and improvement and that feeling of like movement, getting better every day. They're often really drawn to body improvement stuff. Like, the fitness and nutrition world and wellness world are all pushing, and beauty culture too, they're all pushing the idea that like you can be better than you were yesterday. And so I like to just acknowledge for these people that many of us have a human wiring that makes us want to learn and grow and be in motion. It feels really, really good to be improving at something. It gives us a sense of pride. It gives us a sense of direction. It feels great. So for some people, I like to just acknowledge, okay, you've been challenging yourself to improve in this one particular direction, your body, for a really long time. And it hasn't really filled your tanks, and it has like these consequences that are, maybe making your body image really poor, making you stress out and feel anxious about food and exercise, etc. So what else can you offer yourself to fill that tank? How else can you turn your time and attention and energy towards improvement of something else, growth and learning in a different direction? Because then it'll be a lot easier to give up this feeling of moving towards improvement and growth and learning and challenging yourself all in this one path of body stuff. It's totally normal to want to improve and grow and challenge yourself. You just have to pick another direction if you don't want so much pressure to be put on how you look. And lastly, there is something existential about the way that people will often approach their dark material. So dark material is the parts of yourself that you believe to be unlovable and completely unacceptable. Most people will take their dark material and like lock it away in a psychic box that they try never to let anybody see. It's a lot of hiding, a lot of shame, a lot of secrecy. And this can really come down to existential and spiritual purpose and meaning stuff. It looks different for everybody. But if you believe your purpose on earth is to like be perfect or be good or be likable or just be normal or something like that, or be loved, but you can't be loved because of this unlovable material that you have, it's going to get really sticky. It's going to make you feel like you're the wrong kind of person, and you're going to need to project that somewhere, and it gets projected on the body a lot of the time. So if you are dealing with feelings of unlovability, or like there's something about you that is completely unacceptable that you have to reject and distance yourself from, then at some point in your body neutrality journey, you are probably going to have to do some healing around that. Radical self-acceptance, recognizing that your purpose on earth cannot be to hide who you are, cannot be to reject who you are, if you want to feel how you want to feel in your body and in the world. So at some point, you're probably going to have to look at that, heal that, do some acceptance around that, and recognize that you have some other meaning for being here. other than controlling your body, controlling your emotions, controlling your sexuality, controlling whatever. It can't be about hiding and controlling and restricting parts of you, and also step into a place of having a positive relationship with yourself and your body. So at some point, that has to be dealt with. Now, the language around this can totally vary from person to person. I have worked with women with religious beliefs where we folded their religious language and concepts into the body neutrality work that they were doing, because that really answered the question for them of what makes my life feel meaningful? What am I doing here? What do I do with this life? So the purpose and meaning tank, the emotional need to feel like you have meaning and your life has direction and purpose, can sometimes be answered using religious concepts if that vibes with you. If that doesn't vibe with you, you don't need that. And in fact, even the word spiritual is kind of, sometimes it lands with people and sometimes it doesn't. And it doesn't have to. I will usually use the word existential because it is about existence, right? It's about like big unknowable questions like, what makes my life meaningful? What is meaningful to me? It doesn't have to be any particular way, but if you're dealing with body image issues, at some point, my guess is, just based on all of the case studies that I've worked with, at some point you will have to look at what makes your life feel meaningful and answer some questions around existential purpose. Like, why are we here? Why am I here? What is this for? What do I do with it? And if you don't have answers that empower you and help you move towards body neutrality, that's a place you're going to have to look and fold into that conversation with yourself something that provides a space for you to be respected and feel worthy and feel safe and feel good in your skin. That's it. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we will discuss. Thank you for watching.